Okay, welcome back everybody to a Wednesday night class. We are learning Michtav Me'Elio from Rav Dessler. Last week we started the idea where he explains to us, Rav Dessler explains to us the topic or the concept of rachamim, of mercy. Okay, so just as a quick recap, we have this concept where we have a very tight and close relationship with our forefathers and where we come from and our tefillos. When we daven Shemona Esrei, we say Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avosenu, the God of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We mention the Avos everywhere. And we have this relationship almost where we say, okay, we come from good stock, we come from people that are very, very close to Hashem. That gives us a little buy-in, and we have a little bit of an extra edge on somebody else, that Hashem will be merciful to us because of our what's called zechus avos, the merits of our forefathers. And we have, it's tremendous merits that we have. The fact that Abraham was willing to offer his son Yitzchak as a sacrifice just because Hashem said so. The fact that Yitzchak was so dedicated to Hashem, never left Eretz Yisrael, never left Israel. And Yaakov was a person who really brought many things together, from his strength of sense of strength and the ability to live in the world and still be totally connected to Hashem. These are things that are tremendous and stand in our favor. And therefore, we have Hashem is merciful to us. Now, the question is, the opening questions that Rav Dessler asked, is that it might not seem so fair, right? Is that the way it should work? Imagine you go to a court and there's a judgment and two people are deciding what should be, and the judge says, okay, I'll be lenient on that guy because I know his great-grandfather is a good friend of my great-grandfather's, and therefore I'll be lenient on him. It doesn't seem to fit, and therefore, how is it that we utilize, and what does it mean when Hashem is merciful to us because of the merits of our fathers? So those are the questions that he's trying to address. So Rav Dessler told us about Rav Chaim Volozhiner. Rav Chaim Volozhiner wrote a commentary on Pirkei Avos. And in his commentary, he explains, how is it possible that we've seen throughout the ages Jews who were totally unaffiliated and were willing to give up their lives for the sake of just being a Jew? Right? Think of the Spanish Inquisition, think of the Holocaust. People would not give up on their Judaism in many, many circumstances. No matter what was happening to them, they would not give up. So where does that come from? So says Rav Chaim Volozhiner, that comes from Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was face to face with Nimrod. Nimrod told him, said, listen, I'm a god, I'm somebody that's powerful, you should bow down to me. Avraham said, no, I don't bow down to anybody except for Hashem. So Nimrod said, okay, into the fire you go. He threw him into the furnace or cast him, and Abraham came out alive. Nimrod backed off, didn't want to mess with somebody that saved him with a tremendous miracle, and therefore left him alone. But that means that Abraham Avinu was willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of Hashem, so that became part and parcel of our DNA. And that got passed down from one generation to the next, all the way until today, that we are able to stand up to terrifying situations and say, I don't give up on Hashem, and I'm not going to let go. And no matter what you try and make me do, I'm not giving up. And he says that's true for all the tests that Abraham Avinu went through. One of the tests that he was told, leave your homeland, go travel very far away. And then as soon as he got there, what was waiting for him? A famine, and he had to go down to Egypt, right? And he could have turned around and said, Hashem, I don't know what you're doing to me. You're driving me crazy. So it says Rav Chaim Volozhiner, from the fact that Abraham Avinu was able to sustain those tests and stand up and say, Hashem, I trust you. You're the one in charge. I don't know why these bad things are happening, but I'm putting my faith in you. So that means us as Jews today have the ability to stand up through hardships in our own lives and say, I don't understand, Hashem. I really don't. But I know that you're in charge, and that's going to keep me going in and of itself. So all the qualities that Abraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all the things that they did and they improved on, those things got imbued into us. He quoted a pasuk that says that this is even true for us. Anything that we improve ourselves on, our children, our grandchildren will have an easier time working out. He makes clear it's not a free ride, and it's not like, because Abraham did all this, that means we're right up at the top. It just means that we have the ability to choose in an easier fashion than if Abraham Avinu wasn't there. That's what it means. Not that Abraham chose for us. We still have to make the proactive choice. I'm connecting to Hashem. Even though these bad things are happening, I'm still going to be dedicated, and so on and so forth. But because these things are part of us, from our fathers, from our forefathers, therefore we have the ability to go ahead and make those choices in an easier fashion. So Says the Michtamel. That's kind of what we saw last week, and we didn't get to finish and to see how that exactly ties into the concept of mercy. So says the Michtamel. It says Rav Dessler as follows. It says that a person, there are many times that a person has struggles. We have something or someone that is the oldest person in the room. Wherever we go, he's always present. He's always trying to get us to do something we're not supposed to. We call him the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Right? We are created with a Yetzer Hara. We're created with someone or something, a creation that is here to test us and to put us to the challenge. And it's something that we have to constantly work on. Our ability, says Rav Dessler, going together with this Chaim Volozhiner, is that our ability to stand up to that Yetzer Hara, to that evil inclination, say, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm not going to pay attention to what you have to say, is the greatest thing that has ever been given to us. Why? Because what that means is that we are always naturally inborn part of who we are always naturally looking for the truth. And since Hashem is the truth of all truths and everything comes back to Hashem, so therefore we are always naturally striving and trying to figure out how can we see that truth? How can we see Hashem in a more tangible and a more meaningful way? How can we connect to Hashem in a more serious way? It's just who we are. We almost can't even help it. That's the greatest thing that the Avos have given us. They've given us this ability that no matter what, no matter how many times that Yetzer Hara pushes us down, we say, no, you know what? I'm gonna keep on trying. I'm gonna keep on going. He quotes a pasuk. The pasuk says, is a very famous pasuk. It says, Shiva yipol tzaddik v'kam. There are 7 times that the righteous person will fall and he will rise. However, so what that means is that a righteous person, he gets knocked down and he gets back up. Right? If you fall off the horse, the only way to learn how to ride that horse is if you get back up onto that horse. Right? Or an evil person, somebody who doesn't have this quality of a tzaddik, of this righteous person, when that person falls, it registers to them as a fall, as something tragic or something that has happened. And once it's registered as a fall, so who can really get up from a fall? It's too hard. But a righteous person sees that every time he falls, there's a vikam at the end. There's a get up at the end. This fall is only here to see if I can get back up. This fall is not the end. The fall is the first step in me getting back up. I can only climb if I'm from a lower point. So I'm being pushed and I'm being tested and I'm falling, and I only fail, so to speak, if I stop trying to get back up. The goal is not to be standing all the time. That's not the goal, because that takes a lot. But the goal is that every time we do fall, we rise back up. And that's what happened to the Avos, to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They were faced with tremendous suffering in their lives. Each and every one of them had terrible things that happened to their families and to their person. And they got up every time and said, Hashem, I'm connecting to you. Yosef was taken from Yaakov until he disappeared for 22 years. The one child that he felt he saw his beloved wife Rachel in, and he thought he could have given up on everything, but he didn't. He said, no, Hashem is here. And there's a certain sadness, there's no question about it. Didn't make it easy, but he understood that this is a Sheva Yipol Tzaddik. This is the 7 times that a person falls, but he always has a vikam, always has a get up at the end. Now, once we understand that this is the thing, this is what our forefathers have imbued into every one of us, this ability to get up every single time. We can fight and fight and fight, and the Yetzer Hara is going to come and he's going to challenge us and challenge us and challenge us. But every time we're going to get up, we know that we have that ability, and that's what our forefathers have given us. So says Rav Dessler, this is how we understand what mercy is. This is what it means, the midah, the concept of rachamim, of the mercy of Hashem. He gives a mashal, a story. Imagine 2 people come in front of the judge, and they're both thieves. They both stole something. They're both actually guilty. Right? Now, ostensibly, we should say that they both stole. Each one stole $100 from the same person. They did almost the exact same crime. So what should happen? They should both suffer the same punishment. Right? Whatever the punishment is, pay it back, incarceration, whatever it is. The same punishment should seemingly be applicable to both of them. Says Rav Dessler, however, imagine the judge takes a look into who these people are, and he sees that one of these people comes from a family of very straight, very honest, very good people. And he doesn't know what happened exactly, but this fellow, for whatever reason, fell into a pit. And he's in a low point in his life. And therefore, putting him in jail is only going to make him fall lower. Right? Let's say that would be the punishment. Locking him away is only going to give him more reason to be depressed. So is the judgment the right judgment for that person to lock him in jail? Or is the judgment something else that will allow him to improve himself, give him the opportunity to be better? What's the point of any punishment? Not for the sake, the judge is not here a bad guy. He doesn't have one way or the other per se of what happened to them. He wants them to stop stealing and become better people. So if the person that comes from a family of good people, and therefore this will not be a lesson that he'll be able to learn, then the punishment has to be different. It can't be the same punishment as, let's say, the other fellow who's he's a repeat offender. He's been doing this his whole life, and this is he doesn't know anything else. Right? The judge says, I can't give up on either of them, but the punishment can't be the same because a message is not going to be understood from each and every one of them in the same fashion. Not everybody understands the same message. Think about raising children. Right? Sometimes for some kids, you feel like they need just a little bit more than the other kid. Why? Because you know their nature, you know who they are, you know how they will react. And if I put my foot down with this child, they're going to just crumble. And I'm not going to get anything out of being insistent about it. Right? That's just the way it is. So we have to know how to use and pull and push just the right way. It's not an easy thing. Right? And there's no foolproof plan for us to do with kids or with judging other people. It's never our job to judge others. But we can at least understand that what would be the most beneficial, merciful thing to do for each of them? Would it be to give them the same treatment? No, it wouldn't be the same treatment. Each person would require whatever would help them get to the point of where they can fix themselves and be a better person. For each person, that's what they both need. One, it might look like you need a timeout. Lock yourself up in the jail for 2 days, come out tomorrow. You don't like being in jail. We don't like putting you there. What can we do to fix it? The other guy, you put him in jail. He's like, I'm such a loser. I can't believe this. I'm depressed. And then he's done. He's finished. So we're going to pull him out 2 days later. He's still going to be depressed. And you're not going to have a conversation with him. So you sit him down now and maybe have the conversation right away. Maybe you say, listen, we're going to appoint a court-appointed escort for you for the next 2 days. And just to keep an eye on you because we don't want you doing this right away. Whatever it is, you have to be merciful in the judgment. That judgment changes from being the black and white, this is the way it must be. You did this wrong. This is the suffering that you'll receive. And it becomes totally merciful. And each person is just being given what they need.
I disagree. I'll give 2 examples. Number one, there was a young man named Sam Bankman-Fried. People may have heard of him. Both his parents are law professors at Stanford Law School. Okay. And he is a crook.
Oh, wow.
So when you say he's an honest, he comes from a good family, educated lawyers. So I don't think the argument holds up.
Well,
the other thing I would say is that maybe the person who seems to come from such a bad family and has all those, if you will, so many strikes against him, may be the one who would be turned around by a different
approach. Yeah, absolutely. So I would just, please.
I think that's exactly how racism falls in.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly how racism comes into the play.
Yes.
Good family, bad family.
Yes.
Could be, yeah. So I just
sorry.
No. It's the purpose was to be nothing more than analogy. Whether those are the exact right. The judge to be the right person to look at this person and what would be good for him. So I just gave basic, simple examples. But you're right. It would take a deep dive to really understand what is necessary for each person to receive. That's right. There's no question about it. Right? There's the purpose of the mashal is to show us and bring to light that in, let's say, use your example. You have this, remind me his name, Sam Bankman-Fried. So he's the crook, and giving him a nice talk and say, you got to spend more time with the family is not going to help him. So he needs that lot. He's the guy that locks him up. That would be the merciful thing to do for him. Not because you want to just get him and get under his skin, because maybe that's the only way to get him to learn his lesson. The other person who's coming from a bad background and is trying to rise above, you're absolutely right. To be merciful to him would be to give him a chance and say, you know what, I'm going to let you go out. go home, or you go wherever you need to go. Realize that you just slipped, you had a slip, and that's okay. And we understand, right? You're right. The conversation will be different in that example. But what you see is that those two people will be treated differently because of what they have within them. Right? That's the key that we have to see. That the example is just to bring to light that judgment, and specifically coming from Hashem, because this is the way it works, judgment is never pure judgment of black and white. We did this, therefore this is the exact result. Hashem looks at us and he says, there's something about you that I see that is different. Right? And it's the person that's rising above his community and seeing that he has the ability to be different than maybe his upbringings, and therefore, be successful or whatever it is. And my sister did an entire doctorate on first generation college graduates, kids for the first generation going to college, like what the struggle is like. I'm like that. My parents didn't go to college. My parents are foreigners, right? And I went to college. I had to figure out a whole process of life my parents had zero experience in, right? So the judgment of mercy means what Hashem is really doing is he's taking a deeper look. And it's not just, this is the punishment, if it's the crime, this is what you got to do, right? So that's what mercy is. So says Rav Dessler, merits of our fathers, what it means is not simply that it's like a favoritism, like, oh, yeah, this. What it means is the merits that our fathers have imbued within us, this ability to always say, I know I failed Hashem, I'm sorry, I'm going to try again. So Hashem sees naturally within each and every one of us that is our desire. It's there. We just have to activate it. And that's why Hashem will sometimes be more merciful to a person, because he sees, oh, you want to tap into that. You want to tap into that merit of your forefathers? Okay, you messed up, right? We're going to put it on the side for now. What you need is to continue tapping into that, not to throw you under the bus and give you, the pat and the smack in the hand or whatever it is. We need to give you, Hashem says, in order for this judgment to be a judgment that's going to be helpful for you, it's going to be a judgment that's going to be merciful. So he actually interestingly says the word zechus, we translate as merit. But if you take those same letters, and instead of saying zechus, you say zakus. Zakus means clarity or purity or refinement. It says we are refined because of what our forefathers did. It's our job to tap in, like we said last week. It's not like it's a free ride and we just do whatever we want. We have to tap in, and we have to show Hashem that we're trying to tap into that purity or that refinement that has been passed down through our generations from our forefathers. We have to want that, and we have to show Hashem that we're trying that. And Hashem says, I see you want that, you want to continue that flow. Okay, so now the judgment is not going to be just punishment. It's not going to be so clear. The judgment is now going to turn into being totally about mercy. What is the most merciful way that this person can continue to grow and to be a Sheva Yipo? Okay, you fell 7 times, but you're still become. You're still trying to get up. That's how he understands the concept of mercy. So just to wrap it up, says at least for this part, he continues going on this. We'll talk a little bit about more next week, Mitzvah Hashem. But he says a very, very nice idea. I'll just read it to you. He brings he says as follows. He says, Midas HaChesed, the characteristics of kindness, Emunah, which we could call faithfulness to Hashem, Midas HaYira v'Ha'ahava, the qualities of fear and love of Hashem, Midas Hisrachzus, our characteristic of a drive, Lishof Rak El Emes, to always strive towards the truth. It says, Mibli Teis Efsharos Lehitatot Asmenu Al Yedei Pitoy HaYetzer, to not be strict, to not be distracted by the what's the right word? The enticements of the evil inclination, and our desire to connect to spirituality. Even in our small worth, we're not so great. We're not great people. Okay, fine. We're not great. But you know what? Through all that desire, it will bring into our hearts as zakus ha'avos, the refinement of our forefathers. V'Hashem hatov, and Hashem, the one who is good, yisnaheg imanu b'midas harachamim, will deal with us, therefore, in the characteristic of mercy. Hashem will be merciful. He will be merciful to his nation quickly. Kenu liros, and he will merit for us to see Yeshua also his salvation, Yeshua's emes, the true salvation, where Mashiach comes. So our goal of our goal to understand what Midas Harachamim means is not so much that it's a favoritism. That's not the idea. It's that Hashem understands the depth of each and every one of us, what's really going on, and what do we really have inside of us, and what abilities do we have. And he says, I see in you that you have that ability to be a vikam, to still rise up, just like your forefathers did. And all the qualities that they worked on and improved, they've been passed down to us. And because they have that ability, and they gave us that ability, we have the ability to always choose. If Hashem sees us choosing, we're trying to be better, we're trying to be closer, we're trying to connect more. Hashem says, okay, I see that. And I'm going to deal with you in a merciful way. That judgment of, okay, you did something wrong, I looked at something I shouldn't have, I said something I shouldn't have, I acted in a way I shouldn't have. Okay, Hashem says, I understand. I'm not giving up. It's not like I don't care. Like, it's not like Hashem is saying, it's all right if you do bad stuff. That's not what it means. What it means, Hashem says, I know that you have the potential to continue growing, and that's your true desire, and Hashem will judge us with mercy. That's the idea that that Rav Dessler says. It's a very small aside. I did not see this here. Rav Dessler does not say this, but interestingly enough, I was commissioned to say a story. My youngest daughter, went on a trip yesterday with her school. There was like an extracurricular program of what's called Yedios Klalios, general knowledge, to memorize all sorts of stuff and spit it back and see how much they can have each thing worth a certain amount of points, certain brachos by heart, or the 13 principles of faith. When I say these things one after the other, I'm like, I don't know this stuff by heart. My 10-year-old is killing me over here. So she did it. She worked hard and she made the trip. So they asked me to say a story. And when I was preparing, I came across this very interesting idea. We say the words oy vey, right? We say the words oy vey, and like something happens, oy vey, not so bad. Something tough is going on. So if you had to spell the word oy vey, how would you spell it? Oy would be aleph, vav, yud, and vey would be vav, yud, yud, right? Oy vey. It's good. I'll defer to Michael.
Yeah, there are a lot of
right. It would be aleph vav yud. Yeah, a lot of vavs and yuds. And vav yud yud would be vey. Aleph vav yud. Aleph is 1. Vav is 6. That's 7. Yud is 10. 17. You know what other word has the same numerical value of 17? Tov. Tes is 9. Vav is 6. Bez 17. Okay. Vey vav yud yud. Vav is 6, Yud is 10, Yud is 10, 26. Yud Vav, Hashem's name is also 26. So every time we say Oy vey, you know what we're saying? Hashem, this is great, right? That's what we're saying. Right? That's it. Isn't that interesting? I was like, really? I never thought of that. I don't know who figured that out. Like who sat down to figure it out. I don't know, but somebody figured it out. And what that really means is that what we're doing every time we have things that hurt. Painful, no question about it. We do. There's not a person on this planet that doesn't have something that has been painful to them, right? That's the way life is. The more we can see that everything does come from Hashem, just like Avraham Avinu, he left his homeland, he left everything that he knew, went to a foreign country that he was supposed to settle in, and Hashem promised him, you're going to be wealthy, you're going to have a lot of kids, you're going to be famous. And he gets there, and Hashem said, and there's a famine, and he said, okay, I got to leave again, right? And nothing seemed to be coming to fruition from the promises that Hashem had told him. He could have thrown in the towel. He said, oy vey. He said, this is it. It's crazy. But he understood that everything that comes from Hashem, that characteristic and all the other ones that our forefathers had, they passed down to us, and we have that deep inside of us. All we have to do is utilize it. All we have to do is tap into it in order to bring about Hashem's mercy on us and the Jewish nation and the entire world. Thank you everyone for coming. If anybody has any questions, happy to try and address them.
Make it more concrete for me, if you would.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how these qualities of mercy would exist between two people.
Mm.
A person and God, it's clear. But how can you put this in everyday life with the people who are around?
That's a great question. It's great. He's not addressing that, but right. But the way I would say is that our responsibility is to always take a step back, and before we just write somebody off, go down. What's going on? What is happening for this person? try and take us, take their side, put ourselves in their shoes, try and see the world from their worldview. That way we can understand them. We won't go so judgmental to people. We won't just write people off. Right? Which to your racism point, if people could just stop, this is a person, trying to understand how they're feeling, what do they want, what do they need? That's it. We can just accept people for who they are instead of making all these differences and boundaries between people.
Two ideas that come to mind. There's the idea that the Torah